If you're anything like me, when the sequel comes out, you completely forget everything that happened in the first book. So here's everything you need to know about Swordcatcher to read The Ragpicker King, Part 1. Kell, our first main character, was taken from an orphanage super young to become Prince Connor's swordcatcher, which basically means he pretends to be Connor in dangerous situations so that he would fall on Connor's sword. Back to the present, Connor is beginning to realize in the not-so-distant future he will have to marry someone for a political alliance. There's a bunch of other kingdoms aside from the city kingdom Castellane, and it's most important to know that Castellane has a bunch of tension with Sartha, and that there's a lot of tension in the past between them threatening trade. Trade is pretty much all Castellane has to offer to anyone because of their status as a city kingdom, and the nobles are all in possession of these things called charters, which make it so only their family is responsible for certain goods, like tea, coffee, dyes, silk, etc. So all the money people have a vested interest in trade being totally tension-free. Back to the present, Kell stands in for Connor for a big speech using a talisman one of the Ashgar made, the last people left in the world who can use magic, but it's only a small kind of magic called geometry, which basically means they can make small to medium charms in physical objects. The talisman makes anyone who doesn't know about the swordcatcher see him as the prince whenever he has it on, so for this speech, everyone thinks Kell is Connor. Now to introduce our second lead, Lynn Castor. Remember the Ashgar we were literally just talking about? Lynn is one of them. They are very much persecuted throughout the continent, and in Castellane they are forced to live in the Salt, a walled section of the city. And they have a super strict curfew and rules about what they can wear outside. They are known for their physicians who can use geometry to help heal, but before Lynn came along, they were all men. She became a physician because she wants really badly to save her friend Miriam, who has a chronic condition that Lynn can't figure out. Lynn's an orphan whose grandpa is an advisor to the king, the only real power an Ashkari person can achieve outside the Salt. She resents him for abandoning her and her brother as children. Lynn does physician work throughout the city, and one day an older man named Petrov gives her this stone and then disappears. This will be very important later. Okay, back to Kell. There's this guy in the city called the Ragpicker King, and he's kind of the lord of the criminal underworld, but he's kind of like a gentleman thief vibes. He has a code of honor. Anyways, he wants Kell to work for him and help him get a message to the king, who was kind of going a bit nuts. The Ragpicker King's last messenger to the king died mysteriously, so he needs a new one because he's kind of worried about the king, and because there's this new other crime lord in the city called Prosper Beck, who's making his life more difficult and who doesn't have the same code of ethics as the Ragpicker King. Okay, that's all for part 1. Stick around for part 2 if you want to know the rest.